Davey Hamilton, what are you expecting today as these 14 drivers pull out in pit lane for the first time?
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what they do this first race. Last year, as we've seen, it was pretty crazy. As we said, right? The first race was wild and out of control. Then everybody kind of calmed down for the second race. But two things to look at here is a couple teammates up front. The Blarty teammates are up front. The Collin teammates are up front. And this bumpy racetrack and how technical it is now through turns 8, 9, and 10, and 11. Those corners are so much different than in the past. We've seen a lot of accidents over the weekend. Just to see how these guys race through that area and the bumps. It's going to be an interesting race, but they got to race tomorrow. We got to remember, Nick, they got to keep these things clean, keep it green, and hopefully a good run today. Your
starting lineup, Felix Rosenqvist on the pole with Felix Sorales to his outside. Row number 2, Santi Urrutia and Zach Veach. Then row number 3, it is Ed Jones on the inside, Andre Negrao to the outside. Row 4 is made up of Kyle Kaiser and Juan Pedrahita. Row 5, Zachary Clayman DeMello and Garrett Grist. Row number 6, Dean Stoneman and Neil Alberico. And in the final row, Shelby Blackstock and Dalton Kellett. Well, after claiming the pole this morning, Felix Rosenqvist caught up with Paul Smalls.
How did the car feel after those first couple of laps when you got onto that second set of tires?
Well, I mean, honestly, I think our car has just been amazing since I came here. You know, just out on the track the first time, it just felt really good, and that's just what you need to build confidence on a track like this. And yeah, the qualifying was a bit messy with some cars crashing, and the grip was a bit different than yesterday. So I think everyone probably had a lot more potentially, but yeah, in the end of the day, we got a good lap in the end, and that was enough for pole. So I'm really happy for that and for my boys in Velarde.
Race 1 this afternoon will be in conditions very similar to what the practices were yesterday. How comfortable do you feel?
Well, the track definitely seems to be worse in the afternoon, so we have to adapt our setup to that, and we just have to go for it. I think it's always good to start on P1, especially on a track like this. So it's going to be a long and tough race. This track is so difficult, both physically and technically. So yeah, but I'm ready for it.
Got a couple pit reporters going to keep us up to date with any action. Hopefully those guys aren't too busy as we try to avoid some carnage. Let's welcome in first. He's a veteran motorsports broadcaster. Joined us quite a few years now here in Toronto and also in Pocono for races. Good afternoon to Jim Murphy.
Good afternoon there, Nick Yeoman. It's a very pleasant afternoon here in Toronto. A little bit warmer than it was in the morning practice, and that's one of the things we'll be watching because these guys were out there this morning. Conditions had changed, and they said the track had changed too with a reconfiguration and some grinding they've done. So they were still figuring it out this morning. I suspect they'll still be figuring it out when we see the green flag here in just a couple minutes.
Paul Smalls, happy to have you join us as well. Looking forward to this race down there on pit lane.
Thank you and good afternoon, Nick. Two drivers that we'll be watching that had some damage in that qualifying session. Santi Urrutia had damage to the front wing with a crash that actually cut qualifying short. The red flag came out with about 3 minutes left in the qualifying window. And Dalton Kellett had damage to his rear wing, actually stayed out for quite a while instead of coming into the pit area. That starting at the back of the field. Both of those cars, though, are 100% ready.
I usually give our turn announcers a chance to kind of let you know about their view. We'll do that throughout the course of this race. We've got Jake Query posted in turn number 3, which has certainly been calamity corner over the years here at Toronto. We've also got Rob Howden positioned there in turn number 5, where he can oversee the entrance of turn 5 and the entrance of turn number 6. Feel the swerving back and forth, trying to get some heat in those Cooper tires. A pair of Felixes on the front row, Rosenqvist and Sorales. They'll start to line up 2 by 2. Sorales will be on the inside as they go through turn number 10. Actually, they're making their way through 9, now through 10 and 11. That part of the racetrack that's been reconfigured with the pit lane to the inside. It's been a challenge for these drivers all weekend long. The 14 drivers all lined up. The alignment looks pretty good. Rosenqvist will control the start. They make their way out of the left-hander of turn number 11, and we will await the green flag. Rosenqvist hammers on the throttle, and we're racing here at Toronto in the Indy lights. Rosenqvist gets away for the lead. Here comes Santi Urrutia. He'll light up the right front as he slips to the inside of Felix Sorales. That's going to open the door for Zach Veach. Veach will slip by Sorales for third, but as they race down the back straightaway and head to you for the first time, Jake Query, it's Felix Rosenqvist, the leader.
Rosenqvist, of course, in that red and white machine, identical to his teammate Zach Veach. Veach worked his way around Urrutia. He finds his way now in the second. Now, further back in the field, Clayman DeMello tried to make a move, could not make it stick against Sorales. The field already through turn number 5.
Standing right here in turn 5 and turn 6, Jake, and it's a Belardi 1-2 as they're able to get out in front. Santi Urrutia goes to third spot, but lots of scrapping further back in the field, all the way through 5 and 6, over to 7.
Felix Sorales has his hands full. That's for the 4th position. He started on the front row. He's got his hands full with Andre Negrão as the field snakes their way through turns 8 and 9. RC, fairly clean lap, all things considered, because it's very tight confines here at Toronto.
Yeah, I mean, especially with these concrete patches and how long it takes for these cars to get off on the warm tires. I mean, it's pretty warm up, but it takes a few laps to actually understand where the car's at and see where they're at. But it's the Belardi guys out front. They've been quick all weekend. It looks like they got some strong cars.
Davey, a great jump for Felix Rosenqvist, but how about Zach Veach, his teammate, to jump into second?
Zach, you know, he did a great job, obviously, by being ready. And when Urrutia went underneath Sorales, that left the door wide open. He took advantage of that, drag raced him down that back straightaway into 3. Pretty surprising. A lot of side-by-side through turn 3. They behaved. And even as bumpy as this track is, I keep saying, it's sometimes hard to control your car and where you are. Oh, we got
Jake,
one off.
we got one off in turn number 3.
Yep, that is Negrão. I had misidentified earlier Negrão with his battle with Felix Sorales. He was running in the 4th position. He locked up the brakes about 200 yards before that right-handed turn number 3. The entire field works their way past Andre Negrão now, and that black and white car number 17 limps his way at the back of the field.
Boy, and Rob Howden, you're going to see that number 17 car in front of you now. He lost a ton of time going into the runoff.
Rolling through me right now, guys. I've got to be a little bit of damage to that car. I saw some smoke coming out as he got under the brakes coming into 5, but you're right, Negrão limping his way around the racetrack.
What a tough break for Andre Negrão. Was running in the top 5 before that incident. Rosenqvist, the leader, with 2 laps in the book. Zach Veach runs second. It's Santi Urrutia running third. Felix Sorales 4th. And with Negrão's problems, that's going to move the points leader, Ed Jones, up to the 5th position. Leaders streak their way out of turn number 2. Jake Query, Felix Rosenqvist will come into your view in that bright red Belardi machine.
Already underneath me right now goes Rosenqvist. Big advantage before you get to Veach, then Urrutia and Sorales. Front 4 really separating themselves, gapped back a bit. Then you get Jones, Kaiser. Once Kyle Kaiser comes into your view, pretty good gaggle of cars behind him, Rob.
They're working through turn number 6 right now, watching the Carlin cars. Of course, both Junko's cars. Kyle Kaiser now leaving Zach Clayman DeMello as they work their way through. They're all kind of settled into the train now, but the battles will begin further back.
Let's go to pit lane and check in with Paul Small.
Andre Negrão bringing that car in after he went off at the end of turn number 3, had a flat left front Cooper tire. They checked the car over, they changed the tire, he's back out.
A flat left rear tire, Davey, as tight as these guys run, it's pretty easy, I would assume, to get one cut. The problem's for Negrão now. He's going to pull right out in front of second place running Zach Veach.
Yeah, I think Veach can get by him, but now he's going to hold up. Oh, he's going to stay out of the way. Good job by him. Staying out of the way. He knows he's a lap down. Let the leaders go race for it. But, you know, that could have been just a little bit somebody's nose wing touching that rear tire to cut it down. And, yeah, you have no choice but to come in at that point.
RC, how frustrating is it to know that for Andre Negrão had a top 5 run going right at the beginning of this race, and now it makes for a long day for him?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to get a flat tire. I mean, you battle your heart out trying to get up there in position, especially to put yourself in the top 5 for a good result, and then to have the puncture, and it actually will scare you a bit too when he gets the big lockup coming in turn 3. That'll scare you a little bit, and it kind of take some confidence away, and it takes a little bit to get back up to that.
It's Rosenqvist and Veach, the front 2, but we are watching a tremendous battle for third. Santi Urrutia for Schmidt-Peterson. He has that spot, but is being absolutely hounded by the number 4 of Felix Sorales. This is a pair of championship contenders. Sorales was all over the back of that number 55 machine as they entered turn 3, and it certainly makes Santi Urrutia work to hold on to that final step of the podium. Zach Veach roars off of turn 11. He runs in second place. Here's Urrutia. Sorales about a car length and a half behind. They both swing far to the left to set up for turn number 1. Sorales starts to arc it in there. He's right there, Jake Query, as they make their way out of turn number 2. Felix Sorales looking for that 3rd position.
Sorales, of course, patience was a virtue for him at Iowa. Waited until the last possible minute to make his move. Is he going to try to make it now on Santi Urrutia? Takes a look to the inside, then back outside. Urrutia once again shuts the door. Sorales right there coming at you, Rob.
Yeah, up through turn number 4. Urrutia running a pretty solid racing line, not blocking whatsoever. They'll work their way out of turn number 5 over to 6. It's about a car length advantage right now for Urrutia as he's able to hold off Sorrells. Sorrells was not happy after qualifying. He believed he had a lot more in the car, wanted the pole position, but nonetheless still has to fight for himself in a position on the podium.
That's a battle for third position. Davey, moments ago, we saw that 17 of Andre Negrão, who had the problems with the flat tire. I would assume earning a little respect, making some friends, moving out of the way for these guys.
Yeah, you know, when you're out of the game in these sprint races, there's no pit stops, there's no strategy, you just go for it. When you're a lap down, you know, it doesn't matter if you're a lap down to the first car or the fifth car, you know, on that back, just let him go. And he's doing a great job with that, let the guys go by. So, yeah, hopefully he gain a few friends after that one.
That battle for third rages on. Sorrells' car gets a little sideways at the exit of turn number 2. Rosenqvist is checked out. He's at a 2.4 second lead, but Jake Query Sorrells right there all over the rear wing of Santi Urrutia.
Now Sorrells is going to try to swing it to the outside, make the pass stick. Can't do so in turn number 3. Rob, he's giving it every angle he can on Urrutia.
Yeah, Jake looking to the inside here in turn number 5. No, up and over top of the curbing, trying to run those smooth lines. He'll look to the inside again over to turn number 6. Car a little bit loose on power as they come to the 5. But again, Sorrells very patient here right now. A year's under his belt in this Indy Lights program. Much more mature driver than he was in 2016.
R.C. Anderson, you had a full year and a half of Indy Lights under your belt. How tough is it to pass? Where does this track rank in terms of the rest of the circuits on the IndyCar Indy Lights schedule?
Oh, I mean, I definitely think it's one of the toughest. I mean, street courses are always designed not really having that big of a straightaways. But this one is one of the few that has one. And even so, it's still tough to pass. It's the aerodynamics in these cars. It's really tough to get close, and especially to get back on power with all the horsepower and how slick this track is. To be right up on the rear wing of somebody is very difficult.
Boy, they slide their way out of turn number 2. Sorrells is all over the rear wing. Jake Query again. This is the battle for third. They're snaking their way towards you in turn 3.
The Amusement Park Ontario place is to their outside. Now Urrutia, the fun and games for him is not on the outside. That's where Sorrells tried to make the move. Once again, Urrutia slams the door.
Yeah, nothing here coming through 5, and it's Felix Rosenqvist and Zach Veach out front. This Belardi team, Nick, has really kind of stepped up, have they not? They did a great job at Road America. Of course, first and third for Zach Veach. They finished his second almost wins at Iowa, and to get Rosenqvist back, this team definitely has a lot of momentum.
Davey, those Belardi cars are fast, but I think Felix Sorrells has a fast car for Carlin Racing as well. How frustrating must this be, knowing that for every lap that he waits to get around Urrutia, the leaders are going to stretch away.
Didn't we see this last week in Iowa with Zach Veach?
Yeah.
Right, same thing. I mean, every car he got to, I mean, it was just a fierce battle, and he finally got to the lead and then had a last lap mishap to take him out of contention. And I think the pass is made. He finally gets by him, going down to turn 1. And watch those cars going over those bumps. So bumpy down there. I mean, the tires are literally almost coming off the ground.
That's a, RC, that's a well-earned pass for Felix Sorrells.
Yeah, I mean, I think Santi was defending a lot there, coming down the back straightaway with him all over, and I think he knew that it was time that he'd not go all the way to the inside and make it that big of a deal for him to get by. I mean, you had to at least give him some room for the inside at some time.
And further back, looking like Kyle Kaiser getting awful racy with Ed Jones. Rob Howden, that battle will come into view. That's a battle for 5th in front of you.
Got them here right now. Ed Jones able to get by the number 13, Zach Clayman DeMello. Now he's putting the target on the back of Kyle Kaiser. Got a good run through turns 5 and 6. Jones looks like the car just starting to come in for him right now.
So the top 5, it's Felix Rosenqvist, Zach Veach. Now move Felix Sorrells up into the 3rd spot. Santi Urrutia runs 4th. Ed Jones was 5th. He just lost that spot actually to Kyle Kaiser. Jones is kicked back to 6th, and as Rob talked about, now he's got Zachary Clayman DeMello all over his rear wing. And Davey, we're watching this battle, this train that Ed Jones is leading. Well, you throw a blanket over about 4 or 5 cars there.
Yeah, about 6 or 7 actually. They're all coming off at turn 11 right now. That super skinny area is a different part of the racetrack now that makes it a challenge. And that's another thing I was curious to see with the change of the racetrack at 11. Can you still get a run into turn 1? Well, Sorrells shows you can.
Jake Query, let's pick up that battle. That train is led by Kyle Kaiser, but it's Ed Jones who seems to be under attack from Zachary Clayman DeMello.
In fact, Clayman DeMello goes to the inside. They almost made contact to the inside through turn number 3. Jones manages to hold him up, but Clayman DeMello right there.
Yeah, right here through turn number 5. In fact, here comes Dean Stoneman now. It is Jones holding them up. Clayman DeMello tries to find a way by Stoneman's right there. A lot of aggressive racing. Dean Stoneman, of course, being frustrated with the way this weekend has gone so far. He's been a leader throughout the season. Not here today in Toronto, but he's trying to find a way by Clayman DeMello.
Boy, we see some drivers locking them up. Juan Pedrojita had to get hard on the brakes to avoid running into the back of Dean Stoneman. RC, how patient do you have to be, say if you're in the middle, the second, third, or even the fourth car in this train?
Yeah, I mean, when you see the first car, the front two cars battling like that, you always, your best hopes is that they get together and it opens the door for you to get by everybody. But it's just being patient, knowing that somebody's going to eventually make a mistake. 8 laps in the book. We're scheduled for 35 at the line. Felix Rosenqvist's lead is at 2.5 seconds over Zach Veach. Felix Sorales, after he cleared Santi Urrutia's machine, he's stretched himself out to about a 2-second lead over that fourth place running machine. And Jake, we've got problems in turn 3.
Big problems. That was Juan Pedrojita who locked him up just at the last second. Clayman DeMello was trying to get in to turn number 3. Pedrojita just could not stop, and as a result, they made contact. Both are moving in the car right now. Homatro safety crew is already there. Right side of the car destroyed for Clayman DeMello. Both sides of the car to the front destroyed for Juan Pedrojita.
Boy, a full course caution here at the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires at Toronto. And boy, RC, you just made the comment, does that look a little familiar to me? It sure does. Those guys are going so fast down into turn 3, and it just seems that the margin for error is so slim, and when things go wrong, you get a couple torn up race cars. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. I mean, you're coming down there so fast, and I bet you that he was on the push to pass as well, and that just increases the speed with the draft and the adrenaline pumping, trying to make a move back and forth. And when you see that gap there, when it's like I see that gap, but I'm not quite sure if it's there or not, you still go for it. And it doesn't turn out to be there, but he's lucky that suspension popped up and didn't catch the under tray and send him up in the air. We're still waiting to see a replay, but Jake Query, you've seen both of those drivers hop out of those race cars.
Indeed, Clayman DeMello got out of the car first, did so without any assistance. Pedrojita did as well, but when he got out, took a deep knee bend there. He clearly is very, very sore. Homatro safety crew working with both. And again, the good news here in this 2-car incident, Zach Clayman and as well Juan Pedrojita have both gotten out of their number 13 and number 2 cars respectively.
Davey just got to see an onboard for Juan Pedrojita who was involved in that accident. That was a scary ride there in turn 3.
Yeah, it sure was. And what happened, he went to driver's right trying to get underneath him going into that turn 3, and he just lifted a little early and left Pedrojita with nowhere. I mean, he was just lined up there and barely caught the tire, but went for a ride. And you kind of see they're blocking a little bit to the that driver's right, and then it's just not enough room, man. You gotta have a little bit of patience too, and it probably just forced the issue a little bit too much.
And RC for Zach Clayman DeMello, I mean, boy, the ultimate innocent bystander there. Yeah, I've had that happen to me plenty of times in my career. It's just you can't see that coming. You check your mirror before you hit the brake zone, and you see that there's nobody behind you attacking or anything, and then as soon as you look away from the mirror, you get ready to turn the corner, and then you just get sideswiped. So it's kind of disappointing to end a day like that. So it's ultimately a 3-car incident, 2 cars that will go on the hook and take back to the paddock. Certainly, I'm sure some attention will maybe be needed to be made to Dean Stoneman's right rear because there was some pretty heavy contact. The contact again started with Dean Stoneman and Juan Pedrojita. Pedrojita's left front tire goes up over the rear of Dean Stoneman. In fact, the front 2 tires actually came off the ground. The car did, though, plant back out on the racetrack, and out of control, Pedrojita's car just clobbered the number 13 of Zachary Clayman DeMello. As Jake Query reported, both of those drivers are okay out of those race cars, and hopefully they can get those cars put back together. While we're waiting for cleanup, let's check in with Paul Smalls, who's with one of our winners already today on the Mazda Road to Indy.
And we're with Victor, who is the winner of the Mazda race earlier today. First off, congratulations on the victory.
Thank you very much. Was a really fun race, and I was starting second. I knew I had to do something to go to first because I knew I wasn't fast, and I tried a really crazy move in first turn and worked it. And I was just blocking whole race, and was really good. I'm really happy. It's our first win, me and Arms Up. And it's great. I'm really happy. I love this place, this track, everything.
Well, congratulations. This guy's got a big smile on his face. Victor Franzione, who was the winner earlier today.
Yeah, and Rob
Thank you very
Howden, you're there in turn 5 and 6. You had a chance to call that race for Victor Franzione. That's a big win for that young man.
It's a big win for Victor. It's a huge win for the team, of course. Arms Up Motorsports. Victor's been a winner before in the USF 2000 program. It's the third year in the series. Used to run for Afterburner Autosport and won a couple of races. But for this team out of Wisconsin, Arms Up Motorsports, who makes Road America home, for them to be able to get a big win, the Borlands, and of course John Walco on the engineering side, just a huge victory. It's always great to see another winner, you know, our fifth different winner of the year. And of course, as well, we have another team scoring a win as well. Let's go back to pit lane, folks, with Jim Murphy.
Down here with Ricardo Juncos, who is the car owner for Zach Clayman DeMello, and he really frustrating to be such a victim like that.
Yeah, it's, you know, it's all this racing incident. You cannot do anything about it. I think our car looks okay, and he was doing a really, really good job today. And unfortunately, all these things can happen in racing, right? Nothing you can do about it. So we gotta just look forward.
Speaking of looking forward, I understand you guys are doing a lot of construction in the Indianapolis area, building a new shop out there near Sarah Fisher's place.
Yeah, we are next to kind of the Lara area on Main Street. Yeah, the project is going to be finished by October. I'm very excited, you know, the whole team, and you know, for the first time we're going to have a kind of a proper race shop, and it's going to be really nice, I hope, you know, big enough to allow us to do better stuff. So, you know, it's a long-term ideas that I have, and hopefully it works out.
Absolutely hope for that, and congratulations. Sorry about what happened today, but you guys will be back here tomorrow for sure.
Absolutely, we're always back, so we're going to see what happens tomorrow.
That's Ricardo Juncos. He's the team owner for one of the cars involved.
Appreciate that, Jim Murphy. Ricardo Juncos, impressive what he's done with that organization in such short time. We're getting word, Jake Query, that we're 1 to go. Cleanup complete down there in turn number 3.
Took a lot of oil dry. Of course, that's mostly in the runoff area, so it won't necessarily kick up that dust that we see when the field comes through. Rob, field coming to you, and right now perhaps this works best for Zach Beach because he finally gets a chance to get back in the same area code as his teammate Felix Rosenqvist.
He does, Jake, but Felix Rosenqvist, no stranger to success on these street circuits. Of course, won in the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg in March. He's a two-time winner at the Macau Grand Prix as well, the reigning European F3 champion. This guy knows how to do a restart, but of course, Zach's right there with him. And again, we always talk about the fact, Nick, that there are team orders. When you're trying to pass your teammate, you may take a little more ginger than you would trying to go by someone else.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So here we will restart. This time by, here is your running order. Felix Rosenqvist is your leader. Zach Veach runs second. Felix Sorrells is third. Santi Urrutia runs fourth. Kyle Kaiser is fifth. Ed Jones is sixth. Dean Stoneman's team did not bring that number 27 machine to pit lane, so he runs in seventh. Garrett Grist is eighth. Dalton Kellett ninth. Neil Alberico 10th. Shelby Blackstock 11th. Andre Negrao 1 lap down in 12th. Zachary Clement DeMello and Juan Pedro Heat, they will not finish this race, finishing 13th and 14th. Green flag back into the air. Rosenqvist will accelerate. Beach swings to the outside. Not close enough to attempt to pass. He's about 2 or 3 car lengths. All these drivers going to mind their P's and Q's as they make their way through turn number 1. I say that, but Ed Jones, he's under fire as Dean Stoneman slips underneath him and grabs the 6th position. Leaders race out of turn number 2 and head to Jake Query.
It's a long straightaway with a slight kink before a hard right-hander that is turn number 3. Felix Rosenqvist goes into turn 3. He has Veach right there. Veach almost got some action from Felix Sorrells, but Sorrells a little bit loose through turn number 3.
Sorrells trying to push higher on Veach. They work their way through turn number 5 here. Of course, the concrete patch here in turn 5 makes it very slippery. The driver's going to point their cars and grab the control once again when he gets back to the other side of that concrete. But we're being told full course yellow. Nick, an issue on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it's exiting turn number 2. Before I think they can come into Jake's view, it is the 22 of Neil Alberico has some heavy right front damage as he pulled that car to the right side of that straightaway. Clearly must have made contact with somebody. In fact, there's a piece of debris further back at the exit of turn number 2. And that's the front wing there for Neil Alberico. So we'll wait for a replay. But Davey, it's a torn up race car. No way that Neil Alberico is going to be able to continue.
Yeah, hard hit to that right front coming through a right-hander. You don't see that very often. Usually it's the left side of the car that would take the hit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happened. But no question that he's done for the day.
Let's go to pit lane and Jim Murphy.
That's going to be a 2-car incident there because the car of Kellett is on his way to the pit lane right now. They have put a new nose over the wall, and they have a new right front tire out, so they are expecting Dalton Kellett here on the pit lane, and apparently that is the other half of that incident out on the track.
Paul Small, you have more on this incident involving Neil Alberico.
Yeah, Neil just basically got pinched down, and one of the observations I made on that last restart, guys, and watching the leaders coming around turn number 10, when Felix Rosenqvist got on the power in turn 10, the entire car jumped left, probably a good foot, as they were going over the bumps on the inside of that corner, and looked like he had really had his hands full up on the wheel trying to keep that car straight going down into turn number 11. So he may have had some nervous moments here. We'll see if he makes any kind of adjustment on this restart to maybe hit the throttle after that bump.
So working our second full course caution of the day here at this 35-lap race from the streets of Toronto. Neil Alberico is out of that car. We have not seen a replay. In fact, that accident happened towards the back of the pack, so unaware of exactly what happened. Hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with Neil Alberico, but as Jim Murphy reported, it was a two-car incident with Dalton Kellett, and that right front suspension is destroyed. Front wing is torn off that race car as well. Jim Murphy?
Yeah, the crew for Dalton Kellett now is picking up the pieces and putting them back onto the cart. They've been over to no man's land. They got a good look at that car as they went by, and they've come to the conclusion that they do not need to bring him here into the pit lane. So there was a bit of concern there, and they have, determined that that's not going to be necessary. One observation real quick for probably Davey Hamilton. This right-hander, turn 10, is exceptionally off-camber, and I can see these cars coming through here sideways, the guys with their hands all crossed up. It's quite the sight from down here on pit lane.
Yeah, that's a difficult point. You know, that used to be pit entry right there, and it was difficult as that, coming in just to pits, but you know you're slowing down. The timeline was right beyond that, so you knew you had to be to the speed limit. But now it's part of the race course, and it's concrete, it's off-camber, super slick. We've seen this morning, Rita had fastest lap at the time in qualifying, but the thing, I just stepped out a little bit, and then he overcorrected and right into the wall. So it's definitely a challenging area. Now, you also got to remember, that's a no-passing area. I mean, it's almost like a no-passing zone. You can pass there if you think you can, but it's so skinny and so one lane through there, it's one at a time, and so you can get your cars piled up there pretty easily.
Cleanup continues on Lakeshore Boulevard for the number 22 of Carlin Racing Machine pilot Neil Alberico, whose day is done, joined by Davey Hamilton and R.C. Enerson. R.C., a year and a half in Indy Lights. Update us with your situation and what you're looking forward to here as you continue to climb the ladder in hopes of making it to the Verizon IndyCar Series.
Yeah, I mean, we did our rookie year, and we did a lot better than we expected to do. We ended up fourth in the championship. So I mean, we were actually a championship contender. So I mean, we mathematically could have won it, but we knew we were out of it. But it was a brilliant first year, and then we came back for the second year expecting that we were gonna pursue the championship, because I mean, the second year coming back as a veteran, you're not a rookie anymore. That's your time to go, really. And had a few mechanicals, didn't really get in the right situations. We ended up around 8th in points with some different problems, and so now we kind of suspended that and are changing our focus over to the IndyCar side of stuff.
Is that something that, I know with budgets and motorsports, I mean, every dollar counts. Is that something that you have to look at as if you're going to save that money instead of running the rest of the season, you want to push that towards making an attempt to get in the Verizon IndyCar Series?
Yeah, it's where you find your experience to be most valuable and where you want to put your budget to.
All right, so going to be interesting as we're getting set to go back racing. Field will make their way out of turn number 11, still under the yellow flag. Gives us an opportunity to go back to pit lane and check in again with Jim Murphy.
I'm down here with Roger Veach, if that name sounds familiar. It is the father of Zach Veach, and you're watching your son out there, second place, making a run at the lead. But I want to turn the time clock back, because I understand you used to be a nationally ranked, very competitive truck pull champion when he was racing go-karts, and you guys had to make a decision as a family.
Yeah, I ran a two-wheel drive blower truck on the Lucas Oil Series. Basically, it's a top fuel funny car with tractor tires on the back of it. And Zach came to me, kept saying he wanted to race, and I just decided, I got to do what I wanted, so it's time to concentrate on him. So we sold everything, bought a go-kart, told him I'd take him to the track anytime he wanted. That turned into 7 days a week, and here we are.
You're smiling, though. You're enjoying the journey. How do you assess his progress at this point in his career?
I've enjoyed the journey so much. His progress has been great. I've watched him, develop over the years. His work ethic is amazing. That's one of the things that I told him from the beginning. I said, as long as you work as hard as you can, I'll do everything I can. So we're doing that. Funding's tough for anyone. We're trying to find that so we can move him to the next level. But we just keep working at it every day, and our time will come.
Thanks for sharing that story with us, Roger. Best of luck for both you and your son, Zach, out there, who's running second place at the moment.
Davey Hamilton, that sounds a little familiar. You know that's not only as a race car driver, but as a father as well.
Yeah, no, it's very, very difficult. And, the way I came up, the way my father came up is way different than the way that I came up and the opportunities that I had. And now it's even different. So it seems like each generation, there are different challenges. And as he said right there, Roger said, it's really funding, to get that proper funding to do, it's not just get a basketball or a baseball or go practice a little bit.
Right.
It's going to the racetracks, renting them, having the proper equipment, the help. So very difficult to get to the top level.
Time to go back racing here on the streets of Toronto. Felix Sorrells has led all 16 laps. He'll lead lap 17 and see the green flag as he'll race towards turn number 1. His teammate Zach Veach still about 2 to 3 car lengths. He's got his hands full with Felix Sorrells. Further back, Ed Jones slips to the inside of Garrett Grist and will defend that position. But again, Rosenqvist the leader. He'll race out of turn number 2 down the back straightaway, but Jake, the battle is certainly for second.
Yep. Deja vu all over again. Sorrells and Zach Veach. Sorrells goes to the outside. Zach Veach down to the bottom, almost made contact. Veach locked him up. Sorrells got by for second.
Through turn number 4, and indeed, Sorrells into the second spot as they work their way through turn number 5 here. This corner blanketed in Cooper tire banners. They work their way over to turn number 6, and indeed, Veach back into third spot as Sorrells now goes to work, trying to close up on Rosenqvist, looking for race win number 2 in a row.
RC, that was an aggressive pass for Felix Sorrells to move into third, but I just get the sense that at Toronto, every pass that you make has to be aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, you got to really be. It takes a lot of commitment. I mean, especially a street course with the walls on both sides. There's no room for error. It takes a lot of commitment, and especially at this track with the concrete patches and how the track, the difficulty of this track, it already takes a ton of commitment. And to make passes here, it's a tough thing.
And there in turn 3, Davey, a little tire banging. That's what we're used to.
Yeah, yeah. You can tire bang a little bit with these cars, but you don't want to do it a lot. But these guys are, like I said, are being aggressive, and that was a really good pass. That was a textbook pass. He got on the outside, which is the most difficult area to make a pass to that corner. He held his own through turn 3 into turn 4, was on the inside and made it happen.
So Rosenqvist is your leader. Sorrells has moved up to second. Zach Veach has been kicked back to third. Santi Urrutia runs fourth, and Kyle Kaiser is fifth. And Rob Howden, Sorrells starting to close in on our leader.
Sorrells pushing very hard. Nick got a little bit loose coming out of turn number 4, but he's definitely not letting Rosenqvist get away. Veach right there still as well, but you can tell that Sorrells on the throttle coming out of forward 5.
Front 3 streak their way out of turn number 7. They'll set up for that bumpy portion of the racetrack of turn number 8. We've seen drivers testing that runoff area all weekend long. Front 3 now make their way. They snake their way through the S's of turns 9, 10, and 11. Sorrells got to within about a car length, and Rosenqvist gets a great run out of turns 10 and 11, so he'll be able to hold that lead as he crosses the start-finish line with 16 to go. Rosenqvist keeps that red and white Bilardi Auto Racing car to the inside, and Sorrells going to get a nice run out of turn number 2. He's about 2 car lengths back, Jake Query. Front 3 have separated, but Felix Rosenqvist, who's had an easy going 19 laps in, is about to have his hands full.
Couple of Felixes right now in the front of the field. Felix Sorrells takes a look now once again to the outside of Felix Rosenqvist. Can't make the move. Rob, he is ready to pounce though into turn number 4.
He is all over him here. Jake coming into 5, over to 6. Way up over top of the curbing for Sorrells on the inside of that left-hander. Car got a little bit unsettled, almost touched the wall on the exit, so you can tell Sorrells continues to push, but you know, Rosenqvist very comfortable up front, a very determined young man trying to hold off Sorrells.
RC, any doubt in your mind based on what you're seeing that Felix Sorrells has the fastest car out there today?
Oh yeah, definitely. The Carlin guys have always had quick cars. We've known that from the past 2 seasons. They come from Europe. They have really good success over in Europe, and they came here with their guns blazing, ready to show us how it's done. And it's just proving right there. They got really quick cars, but I think the Bilardi guys have got a good setup as well. They just got to keep themselves in the right position.
Bilardi cars running first and third. That's Rosenqvist and Veach, and those bright red and white cars. that really deep blue of Felix Sorales. He went to victory lane at Iowa Speedway 1 week ago by passing one of those Belardi cars. That was Zach Veach. Not close enough to make a move here in turn number 3, Jake Query, but the front three still looking strong here on lap 20.
Tip of the cap to Brian Belardi, John Bruner. They brought pretty fast race cars to Toronto, but Felix Sorales is right in the middle of that red and white party round.
Coming through turn number 5 and 6. Remember, folks, Belardi Auto Racing won here in Toronto 2 years ago with a Frenchman, Alex Barra. That was in the old car, not this new Dallara IL-15, and they would love to grab a victory here with this brand new race car.
Davey, Brian Belardi's organization, slowly but surely, they've turned in a real powerhouse here in Indy Lights.
Yeah, as he said, John Bruner's done a great job for Brian, and they just have a good fit. You know, they're just you look at these cars, they're just clean. They're Penske-style cars, and so that's where it starts. They had their appearance. Then they started getting John started putting proper people into place, and I tell you, they're contenders week in and week out now, not only for races, but for championships as well.
14 laps to go. Rosenqvist did a nice job of separating himself just a bit from a second place running Felix Sorales. Zach Veach runs third. Pretty good battle shaping up for fourth as Santi Urrutia streaks out of turn number 2. Kyle Kaiser, who's the 5th place car in car number 18, he's looked pretty racy as they come into your view. A battle for fourth.
Looks very racy right now, as a matter of fact. Going to sweep hard to the inside and easily work his way inside of Santi Urrutia. Kyle Kaiser, the American, up the 4th.
Kaiser having a good run here, Jake, as you said, able to get the pass completed, rolling up over the curbing here in turn number 5. He stretches at least a car length as they work their way to turn number 6, blocks a little bit to the inside of turn 6, takes a defensive move. That's going to allow Urrutia to get a little better run down that back straightaway to turn number 8.
Kaiser did make that pass look really easy, RC, as he moved into the 4th position. What are you looking for a car to set up and how it feels in turn number 3, which I know is one of the most important places on this track?
Yeah, I mean, this place has a couple really heavy braking zones, and it's also very bumpy braking zones. So the big thing is having your car really comfortable on the brakes. As you saw there, I mean, he came from pretty far back, really late on the brakes, and still made it happen and made the apex to make the corner. So it looks like the Santi's car doesn't really feel so great over the bumps or in the brake zones.
The 17 of Andre Negrão has gone back to pit lane. He was already 1 lap down due to a flat tire in the opening moments of the race. Here's your top 5. Felix Rosenqvist, Felix Sorales, Zach Veach, Kyle Kaiser, and Santi Urrutia. The front 3 have done a nice job of separating themselves a little bit. After Kaiser passed Urrutia, he stretched that advantage to about a full second. Dean Stoneman runs 6th. Ed Jones runs 7th. He's got his hands full, though, Rob Howden, with one of those Canadian drivers. Garrett Grist giving a good run.
Yeah, young Garrett Grist, remember a winner last year here in Toronto in Pro Mazda when he was running for Junkos Racing. And talk about a young kid jumping up a weight class. Of course, made his debut at Road America, now pushing the point leader, Ed Jones. Grist just getting more comfortable in that Team Pelfrey car, but as we said, he knows this racetrack, really likes it here in Toronto. Was a winner last year in Pro Mazda, but to have him challenging Ed Jones right now, it's got to be huge for his confidence.
Yeah, Davey, that's the points leader that young Garrett Grist is all over the rear wing from. That's got to build a lot of confidence.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, and he's doing like week in, week out. He gets a little faster. The team, I think, they're gelling just a little bit, and the longer he can stay with him and they keep fighting, man, he's going to be a winner as well.
As I mentioned, Andre Negrão, it's been a miserable day after looking like he could be poised for a top 5 after that opening lap flat tire. Paul Smalls, he's in pit lane in front of you.
Yeah, he decided to come in and they've changed rear tires, put 2 fresh Coopers on Andre's car, and then they had a little problem when he dropped the car down off the hydraulic jack. It was on top of the air hose, so bad day getting worse. I think they're probably just getting some laps in looking towards tomorrow's race.
Rosenqvist, Sorales, Veach, Kaiser, and Urrutia, your top 5. That was the voice of Paul Small. He's on pit lane with Jim Murphy. We've got Jake Query and Rob Howden out on the course. Davey Hamilton and R.C. Anderson join me here in the booth. And R.C., we talked about at the beginning of the show last year, the moment that stuck in my mind for you. Yeah, you won a race. That was big, too, at Mid-Ohio. But, boy, that accident that you had down in turn number 3 scared the living daylights out of all of us who saw it happen live. What was it like when you went flying through the air there?
Yeah, I mean, that was it was for the lead. I had the adrenaline pumping. We were on push to pass and everything. I mean, it was all or nothing right there. And once we hit, it was like just coming to the brake zone, trying to get out to the outside of him, and it was just too late on the brakes. Ended up clipping him, and then saw a bridge go by, and then saw the sky, and it was just like, oh man, we're going for a ride. Closed my eyes, and it was over in like a second. So it was over quick, and thank God that I wasn't hurt. And then they rebuilt the car, and we came back in the rain, and we ran second place for a while. Had a few mishaps. I mean, everybody had a pretty tough race in the rain here, and ended up finishing in fourth or fifth, I think it was. And so it was a pretty good weekend to rally off of that.
You know, so much is made about motorsports and being a team sport. Yeah, it's the one driver that we may pay attention to when the green flag drops, but the effort that Schmidt-Peterson team made to get that car put back together and really piece a car back together for you to run the next day, one of the most impressive things I've seen in a long time.
Oh man, those guys are awesome. I mean, they were up till 3 in the morning rebuilding the car, and then back at 6 in the morning to finish it off before the race the next morning. And we actually had all 4 car mechanics working on my car. We also had Jack Harvey's dad working on my car. Like, everybody really stepped in, and it was an amazing effort.
When you go for a ride like that, any hesitation to get back in that race car the next day? Because the normal guys like me, I think I'd want to take a couple days to reevaluate what I'm doing, but no problem getting right back in that car?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing for most racers. I mean, they don't really get fazed too much by stuff like that, and it's almost like, it was almost a confidence builder for me, because I mean, it's a new car, brand new car this year, and we flew it through a fence and over a tire barrier, and it almost gave me more confidence, because I know that these cars are safe. They can take a beating, and it gives you more confidence to go push, knowing that you'll be safe if you do make a mistake.
An invincible feeling, Davey Hamilton.
Yeah,
that must be nice, right?
No, that's right. A little bit of Superman, right? But he's right. I mean, these cars, Dillard does such a great job, but not only these cars, but the Prix and IndyCar Series cars as well. And I do feel the same. The cockpits and the tubs that these guys build are just outstanding. Now, anything could happen, right? I mean, anything happens. It's how you hit, the angles you hit, some things like that. But all in all, these are, I think, the safest cars out there.
Shelby Blackstock running in the 10th position. Paul Small looks like he is now pulling off of pit lane. What type of service went on with that number 51 machine?
Well, it was a little bit of adjustment work. They actually shut the car off for a moment while they were changing both the front and the rear Cooper tires. He had started back in the final row and had only made up a couple of spots. So I think, too, much like Negrão, they're going out, getting some laps, acquiring some data for tomorrow's race.
Felix Rosenqvist is your leader now with 9 laps to go. His advantage over Felix Sorrells is 1.4 seconds. He's got a 3.9 second advantage over his teammate Zach Veach, who runs in third. Kyle Kaiser runs fourth. Santi Urrutia has been dropped to the 5th position. Dean Stoneman runs 6th. Best battle on the racetrack is one we're keeping our eye on. That's the battle for 7th. It's the points leader, Ed Jones, who came into this weekend with a 23-point advantage over Dean Stoneman, but 6 drivers within 47 points. It is awful tight here with 7 races to go. He is holding on for dear life. The rookie, Garrett Grist, who's only made a couple starts in the Indy Light Series presented by Cooper Tires, giving that Team Pelfrey, that bright yellow Mazda, a good run. That, again, is a battle for 7th. They'll race out of turn number 2. Grist is about 3 or 4 car lengths behind our points leader, Jake Query, as they set up for turn number 3.
Grist hoping a little home cooking in terms of his country here in Canada, is able to get him past that car in front of him and Ed Jones. Jones about, it's a 2 or 3 car length advantage now through turn number 4.
Yeah, Jake, last time through turns 5 and 6, Grist was a lot closer. He's dropped maybe 2 car lengths back now, but RC talked about it. It's always tough to stay right under someone's rear wing here. Anytime you have one of the quicker, longer radius corners like turn 2 and of course over here to 5 and 6, you just lose the air off the front of that race car, and it's just tough to stay right there.
RC, obviously, this is not the type of day Ed Jones is looking for, the 7th place running car. He's a guy that likes to win. What's it like racing with him? I've been awful impressed with him, that driver for Carlin Racing over the last year and a half.
Yeah, I mean, he's super aggressive, and he's always been quick, and ever since the preseason testing when the car first came out for the rookie season. But I mean, it looks like right now he just doesn't have the car to have that Felix does right now. His teammate, and he's just holding on for dear life right now, trying to collect as much points as he can. He's driving to win the points right now and salvage as much points rather than win a race right now.
That battle for 3rd is starting to tighten up Rob Howden. Zach Veach has really lost sight of the front 2. He's got Kyle Kaiser all over the rear wing.
Yeah, coming to me right now here in turn number 5, Zach Veach, one of the drivers with the most momentum over the last couple of races, has got Kaiser rolling right up on him here. The line that Zach is running coming out of turn number 5, the one he's run the entire day, still rolling it right out to the edge of the Cooper Tire banners on the exit of the racetrack, but I think Kaiser Kaiser's car just starting to come in right now.
Couple talented young American drivers right here. Davey slugging it out for third. Zach Veach, Kyle Kaiser both seem poised for really bright futures.
Yeah, they've been doing this for a while, been racing with each other for a while now, kind of know each other very well, actually. And, this is a good race. And who knows? I mean, right now it looks like Veach has a bit of an advantage right now. I don't know if Kaiser will be able to catch up, but makes for a good battle.
Up front, Jake Query, nobody touching Felix Rosenqvist. 2.3 seconds the advantage over Felix Sorales.
Yeah, last time by, Rosenqvist almost looked like he was kind of limping his way through turn 3. I think that was just being conservative without Sorales there. Kaiser, meanwhile, speaking of third, going to try to close in on Zach Veach. Can't make the move. Had to lock him up just a little bit. Veach allows to hold him off now.
Right here behind him, Jake, coming through turn number 5. Now, I'll tell you, remember Kaiser got into a similar incident to RC last year as well. He got into the back of Nelson Piquet when he was up on the push to pass. They made contact in that wet weather race. Kaiser, of course, 1 year down the road, much more mature, much more patient, a winner in Phoenix this year. He's put a ton of pressure on Veach.
It's a battle for third, a battle for the final step on the podium, and it's the drivers that coming into this event are 5th and 6th in points. Veach is 42 points behind our leader, Ed Jones. Kyle Kaiser is 47, so neither of these drivers, RC, can really afford to take each other out, poised for a pretty good third and fourth finish.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to collect as much points as they can. They're trying to catch up to Urrutia and Jones, and especially with the race that Jones is having right now, it's a big step up for them, especially for Sorales too. I mean, they're trying to just kind of almost knock each other down so that they can get a good finish, and it's just trying to be beating the people that are heavy in points.
Jake Query, they set up for turn number 3. Veach trying to hold off Kyle Kaiser.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Kaiser, it almost seems, Rob, like maybe last time by was when Kaiser really gave it his last shot but couldn't make it stick.
I want to say you're right. There was even 2 times by because he's fallen back at least 3, maybe 4 car lengths now as they work their way out of 5 and 6. You look back and see some of the lines being put down by these drivers. Stoneman right in the middle of the racetrack coming out of turn number 5. Not they're risking it at all. I think Stoneman looking to see if he can't salvage something here today. Obviously, it hasn't been a Stoneman-like weekend as we've seen him on top of the podium at least once this year. And this race here in Toronto, the way the weekend's going, is not what he needed here trying to win this title.
Felix Rosenqvist just set his fastest lap of this event, and it came on lap 30 with 4 laps to go. He is flat kicking that car around this racetrack. The advantage over Felix Sorales is now 3.4 seconds. Sorales runs in second. That battle, though, for third continues to rage on out of turn number 2. Jake Query just about 4 or 5 car lengths separating Zach Veach and Kyle Kaiser.
Yeah, those front 2 have completely checked themselves out already through turn number 4. Veach now works his way through turn number 3. His advantage is just about 2 car lengths on Kyle Kaiser.
You know, you think that maybe Felix Sorales is settling into second place, but every time he rolls out of turn number 4, Nick, he has got full exit oversteer. The car sliding out from underneath him. He is still working that throttle in a big way. See if he can't close up on Rosenqvist, even though Felix laying down good laps. Sorales not done yet.
RC, what do these Cooper tires feel like after about 31 laps here on the streets of Toronto?
Yeah, I mean, it completely depends on the track temperature and how the track is. Like, this characteristic of a street course is it doesn't rip the rubber off like a permanent road course would. I mean, you could continue to build speed the more time you have on the tires. It's kind of a weird concept. And when you go to a permanent road course, you go out and it's that first lap on those brand new tires that is going to be your quickest. Where you come to a street course like this, where it's slick as you build tire temp and as you figure out how your car handles, you just can get more comfortable with it, and you just keep building your speed, and it just builds confidence.
Davey, about 2.5 laps to go for our leader, Felix Rosenqvist. Boy, it has been a perfect afternoon. Right when you thought Sorales might get close enough to challenge, Rosenqvist hit the button and pulled away.
Yeah, I think Sorales really used his car up, getting through the field just a little bit. He fell back at the start. He battled to get back to where he is, and then he gave Rosenqvist a shot, and he gave it all he had. And I seen the car starting to move around, the balance changes a lot of times too, Nick, as you go. It defines, like, if your car is lacking rear grip or something, it gets worse as the race goes on, and that could be where he was at, because it just looked like that back was really swinging around and just not that grip and bite that he needed off the corners.
We'll update you that battle for 7th that we talked about moments ago. Ed Jones has held on, but boy, Garrett Grist just all over the rear wing as they race out of turn number 9. And man, Garrett Grist right there all over that rear wing. That again is a battle for 7th. Rosenqvist across the start-finish line. That advantage is now 5.2 seconds, so he continues to extend that second-place spot over Felix Sorales. Sorales another 5 seconds back to Zach Veach. Kaiser runs 4th, Santi Urrutia 5th. And again, RC, this has to be so valuable for a guy like Garrett Grist, who's just stalking Ed Jones here for the 7th position.
Yeah, I mean, when you're first coming in, it was like when I first came in, I had Jack Harvey as a teammate, and it was most important for me to just keep getting laps and running around people and keep getting laps and gaining experience. And that's all he really needs to do is get in these battles like this and understand how racing in Indy Lights is, because it changes a lot compared to USA 5000 or Pro Mazda.
And boy, Grist took a look to the outside in turn number 3, and that window closed up big time. Didn't have a chance to pull off the pass. As for our leader, Felix Rosenqvist, he streaks out of turn number 11. He'll see the white flag, 1 to go here in the streets of Toronto, and you can't even see Felix Sorales. He's back about 6-7 seconds behind. Rosenqvist turns his fastest lap of the race, again with just 1 to go at a minute 6 flat. Jake Query, that driver for Velarde Auto Racing, will come into your view for the final time.
Think about last time out at the Iowa Speedway. Felix Rosenqvist wasn't at the facility. Of course, Zach Veach had a good weekend. Felix Rosenqvist, though, gets back in the car, and Rob, it's been smooth sailing all day for him in Ontario.
Ryan Velarde was very high on getting this driver in his car for 2016. He won in the very first race of the year at St. Petersburg. Good to see him coming back. So Felix is trying to take it here. Here comes that battle for 3rd. Indeed, folks, Kaiser is by. Kyle Kaiser able to get by Zach Veach. Coming through turn 5 and 6. Veach back to 4th. Kaiser onto the podium.
Boy, Kaiser got him down the back straightaway, but up front, no challenging Felix Rosenqvist. He'll make his way through the S's of turns 9, 10, and 11. A dominating performance for the driver for Velarde Auto Racing. Tom Hansing will wave the twin checkered flags, and Rosenqvist will cross the start-finish line to pick up his 2nd win of the year. Jim Murphy?
Trouble here in turn 10 right in front of the pit lane. Zach Veach came through that turn 10, and the car did not turn. He went head first into the outer wall and is sitting there at the exit of turn 10.
Oh, what a costly crash that is going to be for Zach Veach, who is going to come home in the 4th position at the very worst. Now Santi Urrutia will pass him, Stoneman will pass him, Jones will as well. And David, that's a very dejected driver there in the cockpit of that number 5 machine.
It sure is. You know, I was watching come down for this checkered flag, and I seen Rosenqvist come across, and then next thing I'm looking, where's Sorales? But he had such a big lead, 7-second lead over Sorales, and then Zach really just needed to kind of float. He's I think just trying so hard to get Kaiser back, and made a mistake down there in turn 10.
RC just got a chance to see the replay. Yeah, that was a single car incident for Zach Veach.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like he was just trying to push too hard. I don't know if there was a mechanical there or not, but it looks like he was just trying to get by Kaiser, trying to get back that podium position, and it ended badly.
So what an interesting final lap for Brian Velarde's organization. They'll go to victory lane with Felix Rosenqvist, and now all of a sudden they'll have a car to put back together and repair for tomorrow's race. Felix Rosenqvist is your winner here on the streets of Toronto of race number 1. Felix Sorales comes home 2nd. Kyle Kaiser finishes 3rd, and